Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started on what we'll do first. We're going to kind of flip-flop schedule here. We're going to go ahead and demonstrate, show the plant, some of the equipment in here and what we do. I'll take a few minutes to explain what the business is and what we're trying to accomplish, and then we'll come back and do the ceremony over here probably in about 20 minutes to half an hour, so we should still be done by about 4. I want to thank everybody for coming. I didn't get to greet everybody. For those who I didn't meet, my name's Scott Long. I'm a co-founder of this business with my partner, Manoj Krishan. A little background on us. The building that you're standing in is a culmination of about 18 years of work. It's actually a total of about 35 years. My father invented the sandwich panel insulation system, which is a concrete foam and concrete wall system, and the composite or fiber composite systems that's used to hold the wall together back in the early 80s in our garage. And they've since expanded that business globally. It's based in Boone, Iowa. And I got involved in the business in the late 90s, really looking at why these panels weren't used in more applications. A very specific product had a very specific use in industrial and cold storage applications, but why can't it be used in hotels and strip malls and housing in particular? And we set out to work on design and engineering details back in the 90s to figure out how to make panels with huge openings that were structurally capable of being lifted and put on a truck and shipped to a job site. And we started in housing. Did that for a few years. We entered into a contract with the Dow Chemical Company and their building materials division, and they licensed the manufacturing process nationally. And I spent about 10 years on the road setting up plants around the country, spent a lot of time in airplanes, and what we found is there was a huge interest in what we were doing. The difficulty that we had was that the producers that were making it could make maybe 1 or 2 or 3 panels per day when the demand was dozens, if not hundreds of panels per day on projects. And so we stepped back and we took a look at what Europe does in particular, because the majority of their construction is concrete panels. They didn't adopt wood like we did. They adopted concrete building elements, and therefore got very, very efficient at building computer automation and very competitive landscape where many of these plants are no more than 10 kilometers apart that service a country like Germany has 300 of these plants. And so we looked at that, and they make very standard elements, and we looked at that technology, and we looked at what we're doing in the U.S. and spent a good 10 or 12 years trying to figure out how to put it all together. How do you take products that are each one custom-made, each one unique, but be able to create enough standards that you can mass manufacture a product and get the price down so that it's affordable for everybody? This plant is the first of its kind in the United States. It's the only one like it in the world, but more particular in our market. The sandwich panel construction happens. You'll see buildings. There are plenty of buildings in our own community that are built that way, but it's very few and far between. Our mission is to really commercialize the product, make it more usable, more affordable, more accessible to the public. And this plant really represents that. The business name and what we really focus on is energy and energy use. These panels have been used, and we have 30-some years of data to produce net zero energy results, which you'll be hearing a lot more in the media about, which are buildings that produce as much energy as they use. And the science behind it is pretty straightforward. The products available for it are still hard to find. People need to make capital investments and things like this to be able to produce their product at a volume such that they can get to a price point where people will buy it. So today, we're going to keep everybody on this side of the long conveyor belt that we show here just for safety, but wanted to demonstrate a few aspects of the plant, and then we'll come back over this way for the ceremony here in about 15-20 minutes when we're done. Instead of moving everybody out, if you can look through the glass here, you'll see some computer screens. And what's relevant to that side of the plant is that we've developed our own AutoCAD-based design module. And so most design platforms in the United States use AutoCAD. These panels typically require different software, and then you would have to go back and forth between modules to figure out if you could make something out of these wall panels. We developed a module that is an AutoCAD-based drop-down tab so that a designer can look at a project and say, gee, let's see if it'll work with zero-energy wall panels, and begin that layout process from inception. That helps us to capture projects right away. We are in the middle of production. We just finished 3 months of production and took a break to clean up. We'll go back into production in about 2 weeks on high schools, cold storage units, strip malls, corporate office buildings. I knew that was going to happen. We've waited for the last hour to see if that would come on. We'll wait for him to shut it off here. That's a design flaw in the plant that should have been put outside. But buildings that are interested in long-term feasibility in terms of maintenance and utility costs are really what our target market is. So there's a lot of school districts we're working with. We're working with Oklahoma School District on EF5 storm shelters for their schools after what happened down there. A lot of flood rebuilding. It's a flood resilient product. We tend to focus on energy as our main marketing because that's a consistent. But disaster and disaster mitigation is really a big one for us as well. In tornado-prone areas, other plants that we intend to build are on the Gulf Coast where there's high wind issues, firestorms in California or other things. So concrete's just inherently a more durable product. By configuration of the wall system that we use, it's also a much more energy efficient product. So that's really our primary marketing of what we're doing. Now, the AutoCAD software that I mentioned allows all of those types of buildings that I mentioned to be designed from inception using our product. For the first time in the U.S., people can do this. It's very traditional to open software and see packages for lumber or concrete block or metal stud, but this has always been absent. What happens in that design software for us is we send that out to the design communities and they begin designing buildings. They literally email us those files for approval. What they don't know they're doing is programming this plant. And it goes from an AutoCAD to an AutoCAM interface within the plant that actually takes that design data. We're going to run it here in just a moment. We'll put the design data on the casting form and provide that information for circulation for the production of that particular wall for their building. And so it's seamless now. So it goes right from the architect's desk to production. And that was something that we spent a number of years on development. This plant in particular, when it's at peak capacity, to give you an idea of volume, the building you're standing in is about 45,000 square feet. We could produce a building this size every 4 days. And so that is traditionally, in fact, these panels we poured in the parking lot because the plant wasn't open, so it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing, but took about 4.5 months, and we lost about 2 months on top of that for weather. So doing this in a factory-controlled environment allows us to produce a lot higher volume, a lot higher quality product, and year-round. A lot of what we're focusing on over the winter requires everybody to get their groundwork in, but these buildings can go up year-round. The panels can certainly be erected in the cold. And so the circulation system in here is very important. We have a staff, we'll have a total staff in here of about 14 people for one shift. There is a lot of automation. It still requires a lot of human involvement and interaction. It's just a very formatted process that allows us to maintain those types of volumes out the door. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and move. You'll see these big steel forms that are out here. These are 12 by 42 feet. The largest panel we can make is 11 by 41 feet. Which is about a 45,000 pound element, and we limited it at that because it's still considered an not an oversized truckload.
Can I ask just one question?
Sure.
Is every single piece custom, or do you have some kind of economy of scale? Because they do hotels and cold storage.
Everything's custom, and the reason it is, but when we say custom though, it's really the size of panel and the openings. The engineering in the panel that you don't see is standardized. That's what we've done with our engineering, where it's normally all over the map. How the panels are connected together, how windows go in, how electricals are placed, that's all standardized. So we can change up the pieces, the size of the pieces very, very easy. And that's a great segue to what we're going to show, because the plotter is critical to that, where you would have to take maybe 50 plus measurements on a form. This is all done. Go ahead and run it, Matt. We're going to advance one of the pallets. You'll see it go through a cleaning system here. And then what you're going to see, you guys are welcome to come down this way. configuration of this. The static performing arc is around R21. The mass growth which takes into consideration the absence of moisture and the use of it. That better? Okay. Have everybody come on in. We got plenty of room. James. We're going to need everybody on this side. We're going to be moving heavy machinery down that way. So if you guys could all come in. Governor, hi, how are you? Scott Long. Thank you for coming.
Good to see you again. Hello.
Nice
How
to
are
see
you?
you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, we'll need everybody to come on in and keep moving back. We're going to be moving heavy stuff here. You guys are good there. Well, I'll let you decide that when it tilts up. Most people just tend to step back. Mark, need everybody over this way. All right, tell you what. All right, I need everybody. Electronic fence, we forgot. All right, so what we're going to do is go ahead and move this pallet down, and then I'm going to need everybody to go back about 20 feet because it's going to come in a vertical position. All right, okay, go ahead. Yep, and do not let go of it. All right, so this sequence would be after the panel was removed, all the side rails are removed, and we're getting ready we're going to use this big device here. We're going to lift this entire thing in a vertical position. So we're moving, as I said earlier, into vertical positions, roughly 60,000 pounds. On our bigger panels, this one being about 25,000 pounds. The area that you see behind you here is obviously trucking. This is where vehicles back in. We have a large overhead 30-ton crane to load trucks. We move a truck out of here about every 20 minutes. I'm not sure I wanted to picture that, Tim, but thanks. All right, so after this is in position, Mary, you too, everybody go back. You'll want to be back when you see it go up, trust me. All right, go ahead. So there's a couple of sequences that are going to happen here that locks the pallet in place. The reason we do this that's critical is you see the large openings on the panel. If we were to try to deadlift that or pick it flat off the ground, it would break. Once the panels are in a vertical position, they're under compression, and that's where, from an engineering standpoint, those openings aren't a problem, but it's getting them from the ground to an upright position. Every piece that leaves here leaves in a vertical position, so everything that comes out of here is tilted this way. Yeah, go ahead and keep going. That should be at zero reference line. This bottom yellow beam is raising to support the weight of the panel. And when that reaches its dedicated period or point, the rest of the pallet will come upright.
Critical if there's a tornado or a big windstorm that this never gets.
So this is going to come up in an almost straight up position here. Well, you guys are good. All in, that's about 25,000 pounds. Now do you guys see why I asked you to move back? You'd have done it anyway. Everybody stands there until it comes upright. So what we won't show here, but what we do is the overhead crane, then there's specific rigging that hooks to that panel. That panel will go on a truck. At our capacity here that I mentioned earlier in terms of what we produce, we move roughly 20 to 25 truckloads down the road per day. And so it's a very significant amount of product that goes out the door. I was asked earlier on raw materials, so kind of as a plug for our business, anything that we can buy locally, we do. Anything in the state of Iowa we can buy, we do. We source at least 90% of the ingredients in these panels from the state. We are an automated process, not for the sake of reducing people, but for increasing efficiencies and putting higher volumes of product out. But the impact that we have to the state is substantial. Our input materials on an annual basis here are between $30 and $50 million in materials, and we'll put hundreds, if not thousands, of trucks on the road and field installers to install the panels. And so we do have I think, kind of a big rippling effect behind the business and I think you'll continue to see that when you see energy efficient products, is that there is, even in the 5 years that we designed this, computer advancements just went through the roof. The batch plant that I mentioned of concrete, I can actually make concrete from my iPhone now. I can run it from the plant floor on my phone. It's fascinating to see what that has done for the industries like this that are trying to get advanced materials and energy efficient materials in the hands of the public at an affordable price. So this is really the conclusion, I guess, of the plant tour side. One last thing I did want to point out, if you see over there some mock-up panels, the typical panels that we make are gray on gray. What we wanted to show here was the large openings and the electricals. We do have a number of what we call form liners that create different patterns. This is an actual brick, thin brick that's a half-inch thick that cast into the form. So if you start seeing trucks going down the road with fully brick wall panels going to destinations, it's probably from us. School districts, as I mentioned, that's a big one. A lot of our municipal projects, kind of the same. So again, we've had 3 months of production. We produced about 250 wall panels so far. There's only 4 that we messed up, and they're out back, and I'm not going to show you those. But I thought that was pretty good numbers. And back in production in about 2 weeks. Our first projects are school district projects in Wisconsin. We ship up to those markets. Cold storage units, we're working with Oklahoma School District for EF5 storm shelters for their schools, which will become part of IBC for all the schools. We're working actually with the district here on the new school expansion as well. A lot of homes going up, a lot of light commercial buildings, retail, hotels, things that you'll start to see. So 2015, I think, for us is going to be our full-on year. This year we opened only a couple of months ago, so we're kind of going into the cold months. Slow down a little bit for us, but 2015, we're looking forward to this plant running 5 days a week at peak capacity. So any questions?
What do you do with those that are
Out back? I wish I had an answer for that. Don't make mistakes now. We actually have a firm down the street that will cut them up, and they will bust them up and reclaim and reuse both the concrete and steel materials inside of it. So we just prefer not to make mistakes because they're big and expensive here. Okay, so let's go back. We'll leave this in the upright position. It's safe where it is. Let's go back to where we were, where the podium is, and we'll get started with the ceremony. Okay, thank you.
Let's, if we can have everyone come up a little closer here. We are here to celebrate. I think now that you've all seen this, you can all, we're all in agreement this is amazing. This is exactly the kind of economic development that we all aspire to support. We've got a lot of folks here today to help. See, this is how it works. The entrepreneurs do all the work, and then what we like to do is come in and do the speeches and help take credit. So it's a good day in economic development. But really, to build the kind of economy that we're trying to in this state and in this country, it takes a lot of support at many different levels so that entrepreneurs like Scott and Manoj can be successful. And we can't thank you guys enough and congratulate you enough for this. This was a labor of love and a passion. I remember when Scott and I first met years ago, he had this vision. This is what Scott saw. And it took a long time for him to convince lenders and everyone else to get behind that vision, but he stuck with it. And when I think about Scott, I just think about perseverance, and what you guys have been able to accomplish and what you're going to accomplish is phenomenal. So congratulations to you both for this, and to your families for all the sacrifices that they've made getting you to this point. I'm sure it has not been easy, but we hope for great things for you in the future. So with that, I'm going to make a few introductions and then get out of the way, because that's really the role of economic development. Support where we can and then get out of the way and let these entrepreneurs succeed. So a building like this, a facility like this can't be done if we don't have support at all levels, and we'll start with the federal level. It's been my honor to know Congressman Loebsack since he was candidate Loebsack years ago. He was Professor Loebsack at the time. And he's done a phenomenal job representing this district and continues to do so. It's an election year, I have to say that, right? Like Scott and Manoj, he's always impressed me with his passion for what he wants and why he wants to be in public service, and it's for all the right reasons. And I thank you for being here to help us celebrate this today. In lieu of a formal introduction, I'd just like you to come up and thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Very briefly, this is a fantastic facility. I'm glad I got to come today. Thank you for the tour. Sorry that I asked so many questions. I like to say former college teacher turned congressman. I'm maximally inquisitive, so that's why I ask a lot of questions whenever I come to a tour like this. But there are so many sort of federal elements to this that have either gone into it or that it affects. We're talking about the LEED certification process, for example, that these walls are going to contribute to, and the hotels or wherever it is that they go, and that's really critical. And trying to be as energy efficient as possible, it's a goal that I think we can all share in. I think we have kind of a bipartisan approach to that, certainly, that we all want to be more energy efficient. I know that you access to 504 loans, the SBA program as well. That's really critical. It's really important that we do the right things, that we get the policies right at the federal level too, so that the local capital can be freed up, so you can have access to that, so that others can have access to that, so we can continue to grow small businesses and large businesses alike. Absolutely critical. And I know Lieutenant Governor is very strong on STEM education. This feeds right into that too, all the things. Some of us were a little lost in some of the things you were saying, because I'm not quite, I had a year of calculus and all of that at Iowa State, but then I went into a different field, so kind of forgot about some of the things you were talking about. But it's just a wonderful accomplishment, and it's really a great thing for the community, and it's going to really continue to lead this area and do everything that you can, I know, and others here can, to keep this area on the forefront of technology and economic development. And I want to thank Mark for inviting me to come today, and thank you for all of your great work. So thanks very much. Thank you very much.
We're honored today to have our governor and lieutenant governor with us, and I'm going to ask IEDA Director Debi Durham to introduce them. We are very fortunate as economic developers around the state to have Debi in the role that she is, because she understands not only the needs of economic development groups like ours, but of these entrepreneurs and the companies that are trying to grow. And so when we come to her with a project idea like this and say, we need this to happen, how can you help? She always finds a way to make it work whenever she possibly can, and she gets the full support of the state behind us, and we can't thank you enough for that. Your vision and your passion for this state and the work that you're doing means a lot to us at the local level, so thank you very much. Please welcome IEDA Director Debi Durham.
I'm going to let you have these. All right. Thank you. Yeah, before we knock all this over in the floor, so, well, certainly it is an honor to be here with you today and to celebrate the official start of the production at this innovative Iowa company, Zero Energy Systems, Inc. When the Lieutenant Governor and I were here last year in September, or 2 years ago almost, 2012, I quoted Jim Clifton, Chairman and CEO of Gallup and the author of The Coming Jobs War, and this is what he says: entrepreneurs are rare doers, and because of this, they are the most valuable people in the world, at least as far as the pursuit of economic development, GDP growth, and the almighty job creation are concerned. Whenever I have the opportunity to be here with big thinkers like Scott, Manoj, and the founders of the Zero Energy Systems, I'm reminded of this quote. And Scott, I remember that time when we had lunch and Mark convened and we had a problem qualifying this as advanced manufacturing. Imagine that. But as the governor challenges us as directors to get out of our offices and actually become problem solvers and to listen to the businesses and to remove barriers, we are here today because we identified at that luncheon a path forward and we've never looked back. I know that you both and your team have worked very hard for this day, and like so many other entrepreneurs, you tenaciously spent years preparing, proving product viability, overcoming financing obstacles to achieve this point in the celebration today. This state-of-the-art manufacturing facility is allowing for shorter build cycles and faster occupancy while winning lead points for the energy usage, and that is hitting the market at just the right time. And projects like this are exactly the kind we want to partner with. Innovative, advanced manufacturing is the very heart of what we've been working towards since the day the Governor, Branstad, and Lieutenant Governor Reynolds took office with their bold economic agenda. But however, perhaps what is the most endearing to me, it is projects like this and people like you two who pave the road for those who follow your footsteps with their own ideas. So today I thank you for your resolve, for your unwavering confidence in this day would arrive, and most importantly, that it would happen right here in Iowa. So now it is my pleasure to introduce Iowa's Governor and Lieutenant Governor, who also are resolved in their efforts to grow our great state and providing quality jobs for Iowa families. Governor?
Debi, Durham, thank you. And we are really blessed to have Debi's tremendous energy and enthusiasm and commitment to economic development. We saw her talent up there in Sioux City, and we asked her, could she do this statewide, and she's done a phenomenal job. And Mark Nolte, thank you. You have been also a great leader for this area in economic development. So, Congressman Loebsack, thanks for joining us. Senator Dvorsky is also here. Thank you. I just want to say also that this, and Debi said it very well, this is a great project marked by innovation, ingenuity, and problem solving. And I really like the idea that we have department heads that are problem solvers, and just because the first person says, well, that doesn't really qualify as advanced manufacturing, she just didn't take no for an answer, found a way to make it happen. And as we travel the state, Lieutenant Governor and I continue to be overwhelmed by the high caliber of companies that we see doing very innovative things, the character of our business leaders, and just their innovative ideas that are really changing the way manufacturing occurs. I've been around long enough. I went to some of these manufacturing plants back in the 80s. Things are so different today. It's just absolutely amazing. And this is a very unique plant. Actually, you know you've been around a long time when actually Scott Long's father from Boone had a company called Thermomass, and my wife and I lived in a log home south of Boone. We, first of all, went by Thermomass on a way from where we lived to the city of Boone, because we were just north of Camp Matigua, and really, actually, we had a Boone address, but 12 miles from Boone. But then we also saw one of these cement homes built south of, and by a guy named, we call him Swede Swanson, because he flies the Swedish flag. His name is Swanson, and he flies the Swedish flag, but it was right on the corner where we went to our home from Des Moines. So we got a chance to see that energy efficient home built, and obviously it's this new company advances way beyond that original plant that Scott's father had. But I want to congratulate Scott and Minogue for their Zero Energy's advanced computer automated production system for concrete construction. That is, it's a great example of innovative advancement in manufacturing. And man, with this kind of equipment, you can move around this heavy stuff and with such ease. What a change it is from the way things used to be done. The insulated concrete wall panels that you have created will allow for a high volume of production and smaller and more detailed components. This innovative product will change the construction industry and its energy efficiency and make for sustainable building qualities that we need to be competitive in this changing environment where energy efficiency is so important. And the neat thing is it's happening right here in Iowa. So we are really excited about that. Your innovative approach, the creation of new sustainable product, and its first of its kind facility is something I think we can all be excited about as Iowans. When innovative entrepreneurs are able to achieve this, it paved the way for other innovations to occur. And I see it's building up Iowa's entrepreneurial ecosystem and truly demonstrates that Iowa is a great place to build a business. I want to particularly thank Mark and his crew, the Iowa City, Coralville area, for your supportive support for this innovative company, Zero Energy Systems. And I see Tim Dwight here. He's also one that's really involved in the whole energy efficiency business in our state. And it's great when some guy that grew up here and we all saw as the fastest guy on the football field is now come back also to support, and I know he's very involved with solar energy, and that's something that we're excited about as well. So I want to congratulate all of you that have supported this, and the City of Coralville, the Iowa City Area Development Group, and all the other businesses and people of the area that have saw the benefit of having an innovative company like this locating here in Coralville, Iowa. So thank you very much. And now I want to turn it over to my partner, Lieutenant Governor of Iowa, Kim Reynolds.
Thank you, Governor. Well, I also want to congratulate Zero Energy Solutions on the grand opening today. We actually, Debbie and I had the opportunity to be here for the groundbreaking, and instead of doing the normal with the shovel in the dirt, as creative as you were and are, we did the handprints in the concrete block. So that was a lot of fun and one that I will always remember. So congratulations, Scott and Magnosh, on this great day. I also am thrilled to something that I'm going to be using as I travel the state and talk about STEM, because technology, science, technology, engineering, and math are the jobs of the future, and I want young people just like the two of you to know how exciting they are and the great opportunities that are going to be and will exist right here in the state of Iowa. So one of the talkers that I'll be adding to the comments I made is that I can now make concrete from my iPhone. So I think, now is that exciting, or is that not going to draw young people into science, technology, engineering, and math? I tell the students as I travel the state, you just cannot hide from math anymore. It's involved in everything that you do. And so I just want to say, you know, the company strategically made the decision to move away from manual labor, really improving and more advanced manufacturing technology. And it's a great example of how technology plays a critical role in producing your insulated concrete panels. So that fits right into what we're talking about. And I'm really proud of the progress that we've made with the STEM initiative. Bipartisan support in the legislature. Without the appropriation, we would not be able to reach the students that we are all across the state of Iowa. We reached over 100,000 students today, and it's really about increasing interest and achievement in those subjects, mapping it to economic development, and making sure that they know that those jobs will exist right here in the state of Iowa. Those are the jobs of the future, and I'm proud to say that the projections are for Iowa alone, by 2018, we'll have 72,000 new STEM-related jobs right here in Iowa, and I say that's probably on the low side when we have the opportunity to travel the state and see the great things that are happening, the great businesses that are taking place across the state. We also have worked very closely with ABI and Elevate Advanced Manufacturing, so we're doing everything we can to really change the perception of manufacturing today with robotics and advanced technology. It absolutely is a different place than it was when our family, or when my dad worked on the floor of John Deere for 40 years. It's a different environment today, and again, great paying jobs and great opportunities. Another initiative that I'll mention real quick that ties in with everything, and maybe you can take a look at this, is Million Women Mentors. And so we're trying to encourage businesses and individuals across the state of Iowa to mentor a young woman or a young girl in, again, the STEM field so that they understand the opportunities that are out there. Our goal over the next 4 years is 5,000 mentors working with students across the state of Iowa, and we want that happening in all 99 counties. So I just want to say thanks to Zero Energy Systems, not only for locating in the state, but investing and expanding in the state of Iowa. And we look forward to continuing to be a partner with you to continue that success way into the future. So thank you for your innovation, thank you for your technology, and most importantly, thank you for being in this state. Thank you.
So at the end of the day, you have to build a plant in a community. And Scott had a lot of options around the country, around the state to do this in, but it was the city of Coralville that really stepped in, Kelly and Ellen and the entire staff, and really worked side by side with Scott to make this happen and really be a home for him. And I think of all the utility partners and all the other folks that had to come together for this to happen. I see Kim Goldberg with Lynn County REC back there. That's what it takes. That's what we're trying to develop is a supportive community where everyone gets behind and supports companies. And that's what hopefully we've been able to do for you, Scott and Manoj, and hopefully much more to come. So here to welcome you on behalf of the city of Coralville is Mayor John Lundell, who's doing a fantastic job keeping all the energy that Coralville has built over the years going and increasing it. So welcome, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Thank you, Mark. Well, thank you very much, Mark. And on behalf of the citizens of Coralville and the great staff and employees of the city, I want to welcome Governor Branstad, Lieutenant Governor Reynolds, Director Durham, Congressman Loebsack, Senator Dvorsky, Representative Jacoby. And of course, we know that both of those two used to be on the Coralville City Council, so I always give them a little bit of a shout out. And Lori Goodrich from the City Council is also in the audience. So it's a pleasure to welcome you to Coralville. It's been a fun day. This is actually the second ribbon cutting of the day that I've participated in Coralville. This morning in MetaRev in the Research Park, we had a ribbon cutting for their second new building in 2 years that they've built. They've expanded so fast, and it was so it's great. I will say that at the end of the ceremony and the speeches this morning at MetaRev, the employees broke into a flash mob and sang and danced. And it's not going to happen. Okay, they kind of set the bar there. So. But no, I really want to thank and congratulate Scott and Manoj for this, what we're doing here today, and for deciding to come to Coralville, stay in Coralville. You've been a resident here for a long time, and as others have said, you had other choices, and I'm sure you were enticed to go other places, but I'm glad that we were able to work with you as a city and bring the right partners together, and Mark and his crew, and build this facility today. So it's great. So many of the comments have already been said. I don't want to repeat them, but one thing I wanted to mention that I also heard, we all pick up on things that we heard, but one of your comments earlier, Scott, was how these buildings can quickly be assembled after natural disasters. And that's something that this state, and Coralville in particular, has experienced with flooding. And thank goodness we haven't had any tornadoes, but other parts of the state have. And to be able to respond and rebuild these communities with such energy efficient buildings so quickly, I think that's really a very valuable aspect of what you're producing here as well. So I really want to congratulate in that aspect too. So I think you've heard enough from all of us. I'd like to do what I've always enjoyed doing and call Scott, and you'd like to bring your partner up and present the key to the city before we cut the ribbon. This is a tradition in Coralville, and one that fortunately I've been able to do many times. This is the City of Coralville Welcome Zero Energy Systems 2014, and it represents the key to the city and your first of many more dollars that you're going to be making here. So thank you. Congratulations, and appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. Well. Get in there, Dave. Come on, man.
You should have been part of that. You're the mayor.
That's okay. All right. I get my share.
I'd like to say one quick thing before we're all done here. I'd like these three people to come up here. They know who they are. This is my wife, Mary, my beautiful daughter, Christine, my son, James. I'm honored by the recognition and I guess affirmation of the work. You know, you put a lot of years into things and you kind of lose track of the time. And, you know, the efforts oftentimes go unnoticed. It usually takes many, many years of a lot of frustration to get to these points. But with that comes family support. Mary and I have been married 20 years last January. And between her and the kids, putting up with my schedule and travel and the financial risks and sometimes grumpy moods, I cannot thank you guys enough. I love you dearly and thank you for everything you've done to support this. Thank you everybody for coming. If anybody would like to stick around, have any questions, we're here the rest of the day. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Pleasure to meet you. I want to congratulate her because you're not married to a politician.